There has always been a huge discussion about what a parasite truly is. So what is a parasite? A parasite is an organism that lives inside an organism or other species for at least part of its life cycle and benefits by deriving nutrients at the host's expense. With that being said, are parasites beneficial? Well, it actually depends on the type of parasite and the relationship that they have with their host. Some parasites are not beneficial to their hosts at all and are extremely harmful, but there are some parasitic relationships that can benefit the host as well. There are also parasitic relationships that neither benefit nor harm the host. Due to the complexity surrounding parasites, there are three main categories that parasites can be classified into. What are these three types of parasites? They are protozoa parasites, helminth parasites, and ectoparasites. Protozoa parasites are single-celled organisms that can multiply within their host. Helminth parasites are worm parasites. Ectoparasites are parasites that live on their host rather than inside of them. One example of a protozoa parasite is the Giardia lamblia. The Giardia lamblia is New Mexico's state parasite, but it can be found throughout the world. It is a parasitic microorganism that is presumed to be asexual. The Giardia lamblia lives in the small intestines of humans and other mammals. Giardia is the world's most common cause of diarrhea. The Giardia lamblia has two major stages of its life cycle. Infection of their host is started when the cyst is ingested via contaminated water or through fecal-oral contact. Another example of a protozoa parasite is Haemoproteus, or most commonly known as avian malaria. It is a blood-borne illness that infects birds all over the world. It originates in a mosquito or a fly host and passes the parasite to the birds when the red blood cells are directly infected. This causes the bird to become weak, anemic, and may even cause death if not medically treated. Avian malaria is a seasonal organism because it is limited within its living hosts. Mosquitoes and flies inhabit warm, wet environments like the Rio Grande during the summer. One example of a helminth parasite is a Thysanosoma actinoides, or commonly known as the fringed tapeworm. It is a parasitic worm that lives in sheep and goats as their final hosts. The parasite has intermediate hosts like moss mites, beetle mites, and bark mites. Most of the time they are ingested accidentally by the sheep or goat, and then they are spread through their feces. They can be found in the Americas as well as the Middle East and Asia. When inside their host, they can be found in the bile ducts, pancreatic ducts, and the small intestine. Another example of a helminth parasite is Taenia cerealis, also known as the canid tapeworm. It is a parasite that is found in canines. The parasite's eggs are distributed by the feces of dogs and are ingested by intermediate hosts like rabbits or rodents. The eggs hatch in the intestinal walls of the intermediate host, then move to the bloodstream. Their larvae then circulate in the bloodstream to any soft tissue where it turns into a cyst. When the intermediate host is eaten by a canine, it completes its transformation into an adult tapeworm. The tapeworm can only feed off the food that has been digested by its host. They absorb the food's nutrients through the skin of its host. One example of an ectoparasite is a Cuturibra neomexicana, or New Mexico botfly. The New Mexico botfly is a fly that attacks rodents and similar animals. This species can be found in New Mexico, Colorado, and Utah. The warmth of the host's body stimulates the eggs to burrow under the skin, allowing the larvae to grow and molt. The larvae then drop from its host into soil to form pupae and molt into adult flies. In most cases, botflies do not kill their hosts, but sometimes they can cause irritation that can result in infection and death. Finally, another example of an ectoparasite is Pharenholzia pinnata, or the feathered louse. The feathered louse is a parasite that sucks blood from their host. The typical host of this louse is rodents or other similar animals. The feathered louse spends almost its whole life on their host and has become adapted to clinging to their host's hair to avoid being groomed away. The only time they have an opportunity to transfer from one host to another is via direct contact. Their host's most common habitat is shrubland, so the feathered louse are mostly found in the southwestern part of the United States like New Mexico and Texas. With all of this information, we head back to our original question. Are parasites beneficial? Are they good or bad? Well, you have the information. It is now your turn to decide.